You'll recall last week on the program, on Wednesday, we talked about Dana White's interview with Amber Dixon of the Vegas PBS. And that really kind of set the tone for his first full week as a boxing promoter. Interestingly, this event didn't really feel like it was being promoted as a Zuffa boxing event. There was a little promo for Zuffa boxing coming in 2026. It really did feel like a Ring Magazine Riyadh season card. But Dana White, front and center, doing all the media, actually did more media for this than we've seen out of him in a very long time. Was at the press conference, was at the weigh-ins, was front and center at the event, in the front row, next to Turki Al-Sheikh and Mr. Beast and Marky Mark and others. So it did feel like his fingerprints were on it. It also felt like they were bringing in the best of the UFC production staff and the best of the WWE production staff. It felt like a Super Bowl type event. But one really interesting storyline that was happening throughout the week was a little feud that we've never really seen so far. For the most part, since they started talking about each other, it always felt very nicey nice between Dana White and Eddie Hearn. But since the announcement that TKO and Turkey were going to form this boxing promotion back in March, little things continued to be said. And that really got, I thought, amped up last week. But what's interesting about what Eddie kept saying about Dana and TKO and vice versa, what Dana was saying about Eddie and the boxing establishment, everything is always prefaced with like a nicety or tagged with a nicety. So it's not like full-on war, but we've never seen this type of, this type of banter, this type of friendly trash talk, maybe. This to me is now one of the most fascinating storylines in the world of combat sports. And it all really started last week, in my opinion, when our very own Pete Carroll was in Belfast covering the Lewis Crocker-Paddy Donovan fight, which I still believe a few days later that Paddy Donovan should have won. In the end, he did not. Close fight, split decision. I thought he did enough. 2 knockdowns for Crocker, but still I thought Paddy had it. Anyway, Pete was there front and center, did a tremendous job. I urge you all to listen to his post-fight pod. It's on our podcast feed right now. Brilliant stuff. He did a great job. Shout out to him and his producer, Oscar, on that one. Wrote a great article as well. He asked Eddie Hearn at the pre-fight press conference about what Dana White said to Amber Dixon about what Zuffa boxing is going to be, which, in case you forgot, he called it a sort of like contender series to the Ring Magazine events. A little different than what we were told back in March. Here's Eddie Hearn's reply to that.
Dana White did an interview with PBS yesterday, and he has now said essentially that his side of this new thing with TKO and Turki Al-Sheikh, he'll be like the contender series to the ring cards. At least that's what it sounds. What do you make of all of this? It seems to have changed from what we first thought Dana and Turki.
It's what I said the league was. It's lower level fighters and young prospects who they believe they can build into big stars, to big pay-per-view stars. I don't think it works, but will it, these guys are very powerful, they're very clever, and I'm sure they're going to come up with something compelling. But in boxing, that's not a new format. That's been done before. We're all trying to build stars. Now, to do it in a league with some different kind of marketing and profile and storylines, yeah, maybe you can unearth a talent. But people want to watch the big stars fight. That's the reality. They want to watch great fights between people they know. So, yeah, it is what I've always known it to be. I'm sure TKO will have a different, they're obviously involved in the fight this weekend. That's a massive fight. So, but yeah, the league, I think it will be a great format. But I don't think it's really going to, start dominating boxing.
Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Eddie's old guard, his dad, his old man, Barry Hearn. Shout out to them. They've got their Netflix series premiering on Wednesday. Can't wait for that. It will air here in North America, which I was wondering about. I was like, okay, here's Eddie. Maybe the only guy that can compete with these guys. And sure, he has his relationship with Turkey, but here he is sort of sticking up for the old guard, saying, hey, I don't want a matchroom title. I want the WBC title to be defended on my shows, the IBF, the WBO, the WBA. I thought that was interesting. Then I heard Eddie on with Charlie Parsons of the Stomping Ground, who always does a great job, saying this about TKO. And I do want to add, earlier in the week, Max Kellerman did an interview, and we'll get to Max in a moment. Max Kellerman did an interview with Dana White, essentially asking him, like, hey, you want to... Max knows better than this. Max knows that Dana White is not Roger Goodell. He knows that he's not Adam Silver. This is a tired mistake that people have been making for 15 years. Dana White is an owner. He is not a commissioner. He is not a CEO of a sport. He is the owner, president, CEO of a promotion. He doesn't control a sport. He doesn't oversee a sport. It may be dominant. It may be the biggest, but there's a big difference between Stern, Goodell, and White. White is more Jerry Jones. White is more Mark Cuban. He's more James Dolan. And even those comparisons aren't the greatest. He's more Vince McMahon, if you get what I'm saying. And anyway, in that interview, they talked about him being the CEO of boxing, overseeing boxing. You heard this narrative throughout the week. Anyway, here's Eddie's response to that.
Wants to be the CEO of boxing.
Almost as if he is with the CEO of the UFC.
Yeah, because they're trying to get the Muhammad Ali Act changed. You're not going to see me slagging off Dana White, not because I don't want to upset him, because I respect him. The one thing that I would really like at this point in my career is to go head to head with him and to take him on. I want to compete against Dana White. I want to prove that I'm much better than him as a boxing promoter. So I'm excited for him to come into the space. That doesn't mean we're going to fall out, by the way. Competition's fantastic. But you're not going to come into boxing and steamroll the game. It's not going to happen. Let's see how it plays out.
You're not going to come into boxing. By the way, that's Dana's tagline there. That's his catchphrase. Let's see how it all plays out. You're not going to come into boxing and steamroll the game. It's not, hey, let's work together. I want to compete with you. Them's fighting words if you're Dana White. And Dana White was asked about those fighting words on the Jim Rome Show. Take a listen.
I'm not arrogant or cocky when I say this. My guy, Eddie Hearn, whom I love, and I respect him. And I saw him today. He's out there talking smack. He's like, I look forward to Dana's wrong. He can't do this. And what's he doing that's different? Everybody's doing the same thing. And I look forward to competing against him to show that I'm the best boxing promoter in the world. I love I love this stuff. So
you love that, but your response to that was what?
I look forward to it too, Eddie. I can't wait.
First off, phenomenal question by Jim there. Yeah, you love it, but what's your response? I look forward to it too. Fantastic. Love the fact that Dana's watching the crack. Tremendous. Also referenced the Stomping Ground. Those two clips he combined into one. I look forward to it too. Again, they may love each other. They may respect each other. They take photos. They invite each other to their events. But these guys are competitors, and they don't want to play in the sandbox with others. Now, Eddie does so because he has to in the world of boxing, and that's the way it has always been. You work with others. Dana does not have to and does not like to. And so you're starting to see something develop here. Also, by the way, Dana's not backing down from anyone in the world of boxing, because in that same interview with Jim Rome, he talks about the fact that he promoted two of the biggest gates in boxing history, patting himself on the back, and sends a little message to the old guard, to the establishment. Take a listen.
Dana, what about the negotiation? This is different. This is new, at least boxing from a boxing standpoint. Was it a hard negotiation?
Well, the beautiful thing for me is I stepped into this fight. It was already negotiated. Shake Turkey negotiated this fight between these guys and then asked me to come in and be the promoter of the fight. So for me, and all you boxing guys out there don't want to talk crap and talk all your smack, three of the biggest fights in boxing history, Pacquiao Mayweather, McGregor Mayweather, and now Crawford Canelo. I've been a part of two of the biggest three fights ever in the history of boxing.
You and I have
Suck
talked
on that one, boys.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Shake Turkey. He's sticking with it. Also, when I first heard that, I thought, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good, because we all know that he just let Conor McGregor take that fight against Mayweather. Initially did not want that. And, did he take 40%, 50%? That's the number that's been discussed, of a very big number. Even when he was talking to Amber Dixon about the $100 million. Not all of that went to Conor, by the way. Some of that went to the UFC. And so, okay, that one, but the production, all the promotion, that all came out of, Showtime, Mayweather and stuff. And then this one, I thought, all right, yes, they are promoting it, but like if you actually looked at the event and the promotion, it wasn't actually that much different than the great ring/Riyadh season events that we've seen over the past 2 years that have all been big. Some have been deeper. Some have been in massive venues like Wembley, right? Like it didn't seem that much different other than his involvement and the other TKO members. So I was like, oh, I wonder how this is going to be received. And then on Saturday morning, there's Eddie Hearn responding to IFL TV. Take a listen.
Dana White, I saw your interview with Parsons. He had a little pop at you. He says that 3 of the biggest fights in the history of boxing, he's been involved in 2 of them. What do you got to say to that?
One of them was Mayweather-McGregor. I mean, that's not one of the biggest fights in the history of boxing. That's an exhibition fight, as far as I'm concerned. And Canelo against Crawford's not even his fight. It's Turki Al-Sheikh's fight, and he got invited to be the promoter. So, not sure. But listen, as I said, I don't think we're going to be going backwards and forwards. He also said that he respects me and he likes me a lot, and the feeling's very mutual.
But the competition is there.
But I want the competition. And when I say, I saw in an interview, he said, Eddie Hearn said it won't work. I never said that. I said I think the league can work, but I don't think it's anything different. I don't think it's going to revolutionise the sport. So yeah, I look forward to the challenge.
So this is, to me, the most fascinating thing in boxing right now. Eddie Hearn versus Dana White. And again, they're not, as he just said, they're not cursing each other out. They're not wishing harm on each other. But look at how quickly he wanted to respond to that. He was invited by Turki Al-Sheikh to promote the fight. There is something guys, am I wrong back there? Am I wrong? Or is there something brewing here? Something that we've never seen before from these two guys.
Those fighting words.
There's definitely something brewing. And as you said, in the past, they've been very deferential to each other, right? Like, it has been very respectful. Eddie has always talked about how Dana's a great promoter and wants to, adapt portions of what they've done. Dana's always been pretty respectful to Eddie, but now they're on each other's turf. Now Dana is entering the game, so...
Well, they're still being respectful. They're like, I love the guy. And then they go on to insult each other or say that they're not going to be able to do anything like that.
It's no offense, but.
Yes.
It's like, no offense, but I'm about to offend you.
Yes, exactly.
How does this play out? Because I feel like, oh yeah, by the way, that is a tremendous shirt. I was actually going to go the whole show without referencing it.
We'll talk about it later. We got shit to get to. Let's talk about it later.
Here's the thing. At some point, does the first part of the sentence before the but go away?
Yes.
Yes.
How soon are we getting there?
look at Dana and Turki. They've only been working together for so long, and you can kind of see like some friction forming between the two. Like, it doesn't seem like they're all buddy-buddy. If Eddie and Dana are going head-to-head, they're not even working together, I think the respect will fall away quickly.
Well, that's a great segue. That's a tremendous segue because, yes, it does seem... Look, Dana White is the kind of guy who's going to go in there, as he always likes to say, guns a-blazing, right? He loves to go in there to talk about guns a-blazing. He uses that term all the time. And so he's not trying to be friends with the likes of Eddie Hearn. He doesn't necessarily need Eddie Hearn unless he wants to try to co-promote, which I don't think he wants to. I think he gets up for this. Here's the thing. Dana White is missing that in MMA. He had that in MMA when the Gary Shaws of the world were trying to come after him, when the Bjorn Rebneys of the world were trying to come after him, when the Prides way back when were coming after him, when the IFLs were coming after him, when the Cokers were coming after him. Who here in our sport, in MMA, comes after him? And I hate to even call it our sport because we cover all combat sports, but you get the point. Our bread and butter, if you will. No one comes after him. He doesn't pay attention to anyone else. There is no competition for him. And he's right. The gap is so big. So he loves to go back to 2001 Dana White, where people are doubting him. This is what gets him excited. I would imagine this almost gets him even more excited than Power Slap because here there's actual people that in Power Slap he's kind of like fighting no one. He's fighting us who are just sort of saying like, we don't really care. Can you leave us alone? There's actual established players in the world of boxing that are doubting him, that are poking him, that want to pick a fight with him. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.